Facebook and then check out the comments at the same time. All right, so the feed is live, should be live on YouTube. The feed is going to Facebook. All right. All right, guys, we should be live on YouTube and on Facebook. What is going on? It is Monday night. Welcome to Monday Night Live. I did adjust my audio, so let me know how my audio sounds. I adjusted the bass a little bit. I thought in the replay it sounded a little weak. I don't know how to delete this pinned comment. There we go. I think it's gone permanently now. But if you guys are watching, let me know where you're watching from. What is the weather like? We've been blessed with some more like summer weather today. It was like in the 70s. I had my air conditioning on my ride home. So let me know where you guys are watching from. What's the weather like? And I've got something to get into. We're going to talk a little bit about what we talked about in the group, which was hats. Where do you find success? What's up, Cindy? What's up, Hannah? I'm sitting in your chair. Hannah, this is my chair, not your chair. I don't know how Molly let you in here. It just wasn't right. I feel a little betrayed. What's up, Roger? Roger and Kim here from Dallas. How are you guys? We are in Grand Rapids, Michigan area. We're just a little bit north of Grand Rapids. We are in Rockford, Michigan, and we are representing the Great Lakes. And so, yeah, if you're just coming in, let us know where you're watching from. Thank you guys for being here. I appreciate you. What's up, Michigan Custom Engraving? How are you? Yo, 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 Alan Miller, a.k.a. Alan the Maker. What's up? 91 today, Roger. That's awesome. What's up, Desiree? Love, love, love your hat content. I can't scroll Facebook and not watch a hat video. If somebody's engraving one of those hats, I literally watch the entire thing. I can't not do it. One state below. 91 seems a little bit warm. I don't know about that. So let's jump right into it. One of the things I want to talk about today. So Molly got this lead for 500 and what? Oh, I closed the window. Molly, if you're watching, how many hats did you get an order for someone else? I believe it was 520 or 550 hats. Did a summer in Rockford between undergrad and grad school. Great town. It is a beautiful town. I love where we're at. So Grapevine, Texas. What's up, Jamie? And so we get this. Molly gets this order for hats, 520 or 550 hats. What's up, Jim? And we passed this order off to a friend, Maria. If you were at the Michigan Maker Summit, I'm sure you met Maria. And that's a really tough thing for a maker. Do we have a hat or a shirt press? Did I say shirts or hats? I apologize. It's a 520 piece shirt order. And we passed that order on to somebody else. And I think this scenario applies to so many of us in so many ways. Somebody says to us, "Can you make this? Can you make that?" And sometimes we say yes, sometimes we say yeah, and then we just figure it out. We have a shirt press. We have an account where we can order wholesale shirts. We can order DTF. We can literally make shirts ourselves. Molly passed this order off to Maria. Sometimes you have to keep your focus on your main product or what you're doing. You have to have focus on your niche. If you want to be successful, you've got to focus on that. So I think that shirt order is a great example. You're talking over 500 shirts that we could have definitely done. We could have made it happen. We could have said yes, and we could have gotten all that stuff and done those shirts. But could we have done it as well as Maria? Probably not. She's going to be more efficient. They also needed them really quickly. And so, we were able to partner with someone who's in our foundation. If I got somebody who needed somebody UV printing, I'm going to call Jim. Hey, Jim, I've got a referral for you, and I want to knock out this for this customer, and I'm going to refer that business to Jim. And that's what's really important. one, to kind of focus on your niche and what you're good at, but connect with those people kind of in your network that can help with some of those things. Will I be posting the waterproof hats soon? Cindy, I would like to say yes. I've got tomorrow afternoon, I'm going to David's to film the commercial. And if everybody remembers the power of networking, um, I've got to go to David's. If you remember David versus Blake, we had that competition. David beat me by 6 votes. And so tomorrow we are filming the commercial and it is going to be fire. Liv, who does content for David or David's content, has an amazing idea. The video is going to be amazing. Desiree, I just added shirts for this reason. Been slammed with shirts for the last 3 weeks. It made sense for me because it goes hand in hand with the hats I offer. My biggest thing with subbing out is quality. Yeah, your network is your net worth. I agree, Ellen. Truly, guys, I wanted us to all do this together. I want us all to be successful together and grow in business together. So that's why having these people in your foundation that you're connected with, is huge. It's really, really important. You're not going to be able to do everything that comes your way. And I don't think you need to do everything. If Desiree, if you're able to add something that really fits into your niche already and your existing customer base, I think that's awesome. And I think you should do it. But there are definitely times where I think it's better for somebody else to do it. What's up, Dawn? How are you? Long time no see. He said it was a landslide. Let's see. What else was I going to get into? I can't wait to get my Eufy. Same, Hannah. Seriously, I was trying to get all the Facebook groups kind of organized. So we've got a Eufy Makers of Michigan. We've got a Eufy Make 0 to 100K Facebook group, and I automated some of the welcome posts and things. And I hesitated because I feel like the Eufy group, so many people, they're not focused on. There's no way. I feel like the excitement is kind of gone, and I think it's everybody's like, I just want to get my printer. They're late. I'm mad. This is the worst Kickstarter ever, and so I try to keep people positive because I want them to think about what they're going to make, where they're going to sell what they're going to make, and try to have a little more strategy. But nobody really wants to hear it or talk about it, unfortunately. But I did automate those against my better judgment, and it was 50-50. I can't really complain, but we are very excited to get the Eufy. I'm just as excited as everybody else. I'm disappointed, in the wait, but I'm not surprised. This is not my first Kickstarter. I've watched Kickstarters. I know that it's a huge possibility that these things are going to be delayed. There could be manufacturing issues. So I'm not surprised, and I'm not too upset about it. Larry's here. What's up, buddy? So let's see. Let's get into a couple of things I wanted to touch on. So I wanted to first talk about sometimes when we have these conversations, I wanted to talk about kind of B2C, B2B, selling online, selling singles, selling multiples, selling wholesale. I wanted to talk about those things. And I think sometimes when we have a conversation like this, where it's like comparing, we were comparing selling in a store to selling online or at a craft show. And I think sometimes people come away from that and they're hoping to hear a nugget of like the answer, like this is what you should do. And it's just not that simple. The answer is different for everybody. Whether we're talking about product or where you should sell or how you should sell, it depends on your personality. It depends on your skill set. It depends on what kinds of products you're going to be successful with, because we started with earrings and ornaments. That's not for everybody. Not everybody should do earrings and ornaments. Now at craft shows, we do wallets, belts, hats, ammo cans, knives, and those things aren't for everybody. You're going to be better at selling, and there's going to be different areas that where different products are going to be work better too. Jay is watching from Atlanta. What's up, Jay? How are you doing? Larry's at work. Not sure how long I can hang out. Are you able to watch while you're working? I have a friend who he's working at CNC shop, and he would be on the live listening while he was in his machine running his CNC. But let's talk about bulk versus retail. What are the pros and cons? Craft show. That's where you're going to be selling one item at a time. You're going to be selling one wallet, one hat. And some of this we're going to focus on hats just because it's easy. But selling one hat, you're selling one hat and it's going to be at a premium. When we sell a hat at a craft show, we've got a good, better, best. We've got our just the hat, $25. Hat with a hat clip, $36. You want to get a hydro hat, we're looking at $46. So you got to have that good, better, and best option at the craft show, and you're charging that premium because you're there. You've got to value your time, the time it takes to prep for the craft show, prep the items for the craft show, set up. You're there all day. You're spending money on craft show food and stuff. So you've got to really take all those things into consideration. I went to a craft show a couple weeks ago, and as a spectator, and somebody's like, "Oh yeah, I'm just doing my hats for for $20 a piece." And he was selling Richardson's for $20 a piece with a custom patch. I'm just I was disappointed. When you look at the price of everything's got in there, he's maybe making $6-7 per hat. What's up, Roy? How are you doing? So you're going to make that premium price in that retail setting for B2B, or sorry, B2C sales. You're going to make a little higher margin. And then let's say we're in a wholesale setting where we're selling to a business for hats. You're going to go from, selling a hat for 25, 36, $46. It's going to go down significantly, but you're selling 10, 15, 20 hats. Or the example with Maria and the shirts, she sold 520 shirts. You're not going to be selling 520 shirts for the same price that you're selling 1 or 10 shirts for. So there's a big trade-off. And I think one of the biggest things you got to take into consideration is your efficiency. That's why I try to teach everybody in the beginning when you're starting out, find your niche, but you also need to, in that niche, you need to work on your efficiencies. You're going to figure so many things out. You're going to figure out, are you going to sell, if you sell 10 hats, what's your price going to be? Those are huge in the beginning. Molly is currently trying to figure out a pricing sheet for a school fundraiser for an elementary school in our area. I also remind myself that my why is different than other person's why. 100%, Amy. And I think our why, or my why specifically, shifted over time. In the beginning, Molly was doing the earrings and ornaments and other lasered stuff, and it was really fun. I enjoyed going to the craft show, and then there was like a glimmer of light, like this could be a thing. This could be bigger than just doing a craft show for fun, making some extra money. And especially once we pivoted, that was a big difference as well. So individual sales, you're gonna have your highest margins for each item that you sell, whether that's hats or anything else. Um, and the pros, it's fast. We do a craft show, you're there in person, you're making, quick money. Now I say quick money, there's still prep work and stuff that goes into that, but you're able to go to the craft show and make that money for sure. Let's see. You've never done a craft show, but I'm getting ready to do one in January for my engraved ones. Not sure what to expect, but I was asked to come. Hats with patches, 100% prefer B2B. What's up, Joe? How are you? I love AI for things like that. I think Molly is getting better and better with AI. I use uh, AI all day, every day. Cheyenne, what's up? How are you? What is the weather like where you're at, Cheyenne? You're in California, right? Cheyenne, did you get your badge? Let's see. So we got margins, high profit per unit for B to B. Oh, sorry, B to C. I keep mixing them up. I'm looking at my notes, and I've got there's like B to B and B to C all over the place. But you've got to keep in mind your costs. Low volume, high cost for consumer acquisition, your CAC, or some people say CAC. And then you've got different options. You've got Etsy and Shopify, and you've got a lot of different options there for selling online. But then there's different fees you have to take into consideration. So that's why, like I always say, that there's pros and cons to all the different things. What's up, Alan? How are you? What's up, Fired Woodcraft in the house? There's pros and cons to everything. The nice thing about Etsy is you get your things on Etsy, and Etsy brings the traffic to you. If you have a website, Shopify, or just a regular website, you have to drive your own traffic. I'm here live right now to you, trying to bring some value, but the end goal is we're trying to drive traffic to our website. I'm here just talking with you about this, but the goal, I want you to know about Great Lakes Scissor Supply and the things that we offer and sell, but you have to have a method like this to talk to your customer. Your video got taken down of stitching your video, huh? I wonder why. That's, if you notice, my video actually had the lowest views of anything in a long time. David's in the house. What's up, David? Was telling everybody we are going to be filming your commercial tomorrow afternoon. That should be a good time. Should prove for some good content. I came on so Blake would drive traffic to my website. Have you guys been to creativecutSupplies.com? Have you tried Dual Tight? I am excited for tomorrow. I think it's going to be incredibly funny. I'm hoping that we can, it's going to be this short amount of time where we're going to make this commercial. Fired Woodcraft said he loves Dual Tight. I think we're going to get a lot of content out of this really short window because I think we're going to have a lot of fun. I've got some ideas how to slip Great Lakes Laser Supply into the Creative Cut Supply commercial. It should be good times. Always in someone else's space. Let's see. We got to stay on track. So Shopify, Etsy. Etsy is driving the traffic. So people will complain about all the Etsy fees. I feel like a year ago, everybody was complaining about the Etsy fees. You're posting your things on Etsy's website, and they are driving some traffic to you. Now, I think there's a ton of things you got to take into consideration with Etsy and paid advertising and things like that. Go blue. But at the end of the day, they do have a website where they are driving some traffic to you, where in other situations you have to drive your own traffic. And how are you going to do that effectively? David said he's concerned, honestly, for tomorrow. I think that's valid. You're nervous about Etsy because of the volume of people and how many people try to race to the bottom. I agree, Roy. And but can you exist on Etsy and not race to the bottom? Like, what if can you bring, in my example at craft shows where I'm next to somebody selling wallets and we're selling the same exact wallet, and I am bringing value with a good, better, best, or my personality. You've got a great personality, Roy. Some people would probably say. Can you bring additional value to your product on Etsy without having to race to the bottom? Is it possible to have the same exact product as someone else on Etsy and not be competitive just on price? Does that make sense? And David, you probably have input on this as well. And if you guys have any input on this, let me know. I'm curious if you can bring that same additional value as you can in person. I love that in-person sales. If I could make selling at a craft show my job and not take away from the family so much, I would love to do craft shows all the time. I love the in-person sales. David says 100% can exist on Etsy and not race to the bottom, but it's a lot more work to create a brand experience and product experience. Yeah, David's got the right verbiage. Can you create that brand experience and the product experience without competing at the bottom on Etsy? Roy says, I'm sure you can, but it seems so easy to get lost in the sheer volume. And yes, that makes sense. You need to bake Etsy fees into pricing. Yes, it's possible. Okay. That's why Etsy didn't appeal to me. I think Molly very briefly had some earrings and things on Etsy, but we went straight to our own website. Well, with Great Lakes, we had an outnumbered website, but we never really had product listings on there. We had a couple of things, just not something that we really perfected. I like the in-person sales too much, and we never really converted to a website like we probably should have sooner. All right, let's stay on track. We're way off track here. supposed to be talking about B2C and B2B. Alan, thank you. A lot of people who shop on Etsy are looking for something unique and are willing to spend more. Not everyone, but some. That makes sense. You know, I feel like I'm never the things I'm looking for though are typically like files or something like that, or just looking up average pricing for something. You still need to convert to a website. Okay, that makes sense. So you can almost use Etsy as a marketing tool versus that one destination. All right, let's see. If you want, this kind of touches on some of my notes here. If you want premium pricing, you must master the personal touch and storytelling in your product descriptions. You are selling a feeling, not just a hat patch. Fired Woodcraft says, I'm trying to get better with B2B. I struggle with the free sample stuff. For I think you do a lot of hats. So for me, my sales tool is hat clips. I'm using those as a tactic. Let's see. I'm saying you personally still need to convert a website. Yeah, I know. I think I get it, David. Um, okay, so personal experience here. I had a show just 2 weeks ago, and there was a laser engraver literally across from me. We offered some of the same products, and I charged 20% more than what they were selling. But I was so busy. I completely crushed it. Not always about chasing to the bottom, but creating an amazing experience for the customers and showing how great your work is. Shows are a great way to get paid to market. I always win at least 2 to 5 new B2B clients per show. And I think that's huge. I think making sure that when you're in those uh, at the craft show or wherever you are, marketing, talking to people, having a conversation. If somebody's in your booth already buying something, have a short conversation about what else you can do for them. Are they a business owner? Do you have potential to make hats, jewelry, or whatever your business is? Do you have some additional things that you can make for them? All right, guys, got about 6 minutes left. I'm gonna go through a couple of my notes here. If you have any other questions, throw those in the comments. Or another personal experience like Cheyenne. That's a really good something really good that I think a lot of people can relate to. What's up, Nighthawk brand? So let's see. B2B versus B2C. So again, it's going to be for not for everybody. I think some things are better for some than others. Making sure you're taking all of the costs into consideration. Who's your target customer and where can you easily access those people? Your natural sales market, like I always say. Do you have a website yet? That's going to be huge. If you're at that craft show and you're making those connections, where are you directing those people if you don't have a website? I think David, I think sent me a link today or yesterday, and it was talking about your number one constraint. What's the main thing holding you back? It actually talked about a book that I read many years ago called The Goal, and it's talking about manufacturing. Let's say in a manufacturing setting, I'm going off on a complete tangent here. But so there's this book called The Goal that's talking about manufacturing efficiency. Let's say in this factory, we make steering wheels, we make engines, and we make doors. And so let's say you can make 20 steering wheels, you can make one engine and 20 doors. That constraint is the engine. So if you can only make one engine, you should not be focusing on those other products that you can make more of. If you have that one constraint, that's what you need to focus your business on. So for me right now, it's my new website. There are 10 other things that I am working on and I'm doing, but my energy really needs to be directed to our website because before we can really step up to the next level, we have to have our Shopify website finished. So, what is that constraint in your business right now? David, what's your constraint in your business right now? Desiree, what's your constraint in your business? What's that one thing that you probably should be focusing on, but you're doing some other things? For me, instead of this live right now, should I be finishing up my website? Probably. I really need to put those other things to the back burner and focus on that website because we cannot, as a company, Great Lakes Scissor Supply, go to the next level where we want to be until we have that new website. The Goal, David. It really it's a very thick book. I still have my copy from probably 20 years ago. Um, but it really just talks about, if I had to summarize it, talks about focusing on that one constraint, because how many steering wheels can I make in that factory? Oh, I can make 20 steering wheels. I can make 20 doors. Well, if I can only make one engine, making those additional items of those other things doesn't matter because that engine is my constraint. But that's the summary of the goal. I'm sure you could probably find a good summary of the goal on Facebook or on YouTube, but it is a good book and talks about efficiency and stuff like that. But that's pretty much it, guys. I mean, B2B and B2C, there's pros and cons to both. Websites, craft shows, selling one versus 20. I think a lot of people see B2B and they're like, oh, I see this person started doing B2B and this person started doing B2B. Just because that's what everybody else is doing, it doesn't necessarily mean that that's the thing for you. You have to have some of those other things in place. Otherwise, it still doesn't make sense. If you're working on B2B sales and you still don't have a website, it doesn't really make sense. If you're doing even B2C and you don't have a website, it doesn't really make sense. Desiree said she's headed to her shop right now. Your website too. 100% need to set my designer up as a user so he can get mine fixed. Think about, I think one takeaway from tonight, think about, what is your number one constraint? You don't think about kind of the shiny things. Just because somebody else is doing B2B doesn't mean you need to. You need to do what's best for your business and make sure you have that foundation in place so that you can grow your business, whether that's B2B or B2C. Hey, what's up, Victor? Happy Monday. Thanks for being here. So that really covers everything I wanted to kind of talk about. I know, I think sometimes people are looking for a definitive answer, and if anybody ever wants to talk through in detail what would be best for you, I'm definitely happy to do that. But it's this in business, in the laser world, in the customization world, there is not one answer for everybody. Your business is you, and you have to do what's best for you and your business. What's up, Jennifer? How are you? Honestly, we've done 4 years of B2B and never done sales on a website with that side, all based on email and phone with a catalog, sales reps and shows. Not ideal, but could be much easier with a site. I'm doing really good, Jennifer. So would you say that a website for that business is probably your constraint? Larry saying hi to his wife. I should be, but not really. I'm busy. But we have a whole storefront. I'm trying to decide pivot or pass. That's a good one, Hannah. That is a good one. Well, I appreciate you guys all coming on. I really am happy that we're here. I appreciate all the engagement. If you're watching after the fact, let me know in the comments. Don't be afraid to still interact. I still watch the comments on these videos. And if you wanted to ever reference one of these videos, Facebook videos now go away after 30 days. So we are posting all these videos to our YouTube as well. If you could do me a favor, as soon as we finish here, go to YouTube. I actually can't go live. There's two different ways you can go live on YouTube, and I still cannot go live the other way. We don't have enough followers. So if you could do me a favor, go to our YouTube. That's Great Lakes Laser Supply on YouTube, and give us a follow. If you wanted to check out some of our older videos, it's mostly videos that have already been posted here on Facebook that are cross-posted to YouTube. There is a cool one on there. If you wanted to check out the summit, the opening session of the summit is on there in case you did not get a chance to see that. But do me a favor, YouTube, give us a follow, like, comment, smash. What is it? The alert bell. But thank you guys all for being here. I appreciate you. The goal will be to go live again on Wednesday, and I will not be going live on Friday this week, unfortunately. Holly says, I've been working on mine lately, and it feels so daunting to get it all done. So many possibilities to run the website and how it works. I agree, Holly. I really could not agree more. It is a lot. And it took me a lot to get our current website in place. And now I'm trying to redo it, and I'm utilizing other people, and I'm still struggling. Thank you, Larry. I appreciate that. Let's see. Websites are hard. Just an FYI, the audio on TikTok is my favorite. YouTube still a little underwater. Okay. So I did adjust. Let's actually just do this right now while we're here. We still got a couple people watching. So underwater. So let's turn this down a little bit. Testing, testing. So I just turned the bass down a little bit, and it sounds actually better in my ears already. Let me know if that sounds better. Um, that's pretty much everything I wanted to talk about, guys. I want to talk about B2B, B2C. I wanted to talk about that shirt order for Maria because I think a lot of us see that, oh, 550 shirts. Um, that's something I can definitely make happen for that. But even in that situation, we still reached out to someone else who's in our foundation, in our blueprint, and Maria was able to knock out that shirt order. I think that's something to keep in mind. That means low, middle are off. Um, all I have is bass and treble adjustments here. Underwater, I was thinking that was going to be the bass was too high. Molly said Facebook sounds clear. Does it sound any different now than it did a few minutes ago? I've got the mic boost straight in the middle. Your sound is good, Hannah says. Boost 1500 to 3000 hertz. Yeah, I don't have that technical of a setup, Roger. I wish. Um, but that is all I got, guys. I appreciate you guys. We would not be here if it wasn't for you. Don't ever hesitate to reach out, post in the Facebook group. I want you guys, you still sound like Blake. Thanks, Jay. Post things in the group. I think that engagement in the group, posting what you're working on and helping other people is the key to everyone's success. I think if you've learned step 1, 2, and 3 of whatever you're doing, helping someone else get to step 1, 2, and 3 helps you move on to your next step. It does sound a little bit different. You might want to get an EQ box. Thanks, Roger. I mean, I would like to, one step at a time. I do want to step up my live streams and make them a little bit better. I could definitely use a little mixer. That would be helpful. I do know how to work a mixer. I've done soundboard in our church. We had Shopify and just switched to Squarespace. Love it much more. Been getting good feedback so far. You have a thought about doing these on Zoom and then live streaming to Facebook? I have not thought about that. StreamYard makes it really convenient. If let's say Will wanted to come on and go live with me, or Hannah wanted to come on, Roger wanted to come on, it's really easy. And I know you can in Zoom as well, but the controls, there's just so many things. And maybe it's just me being, oh, geez. There's so many things that StreamYard has made really easy. Tammy just came over on TikTok. She's comparing sound maybe, but this isn't going through the mixer for TikTok. What was I just saying? I completely lost my train of thought. But yeah, I have seen people use Zoom for essentially the same thing. I like StreamYard. I think they built in a lot of features that make this whole process pretty easy. And especially like right now, I'm cross streaming to YouTube and Facebook at the same time. I may go to Squarespace based on our needs. The Michigan Maker Summit website is on Squarespace. The new website for Great Lakes Scissor Supply will be on Shopify, and our current website is on Square. Square and Squarespace are two different things. All right, guys, have a good night. Have a good Monday. We'll see you on Wednesday and no Friday this week. Thank you again for being here. Have a good night, and don't hesitate to reach out if I can do anything for you. Make good choices. Have a good week.